You've spoken of graphene, the Graphene Suite being inspired by the honeycomb structure of graphene, and the number 6 features very strongly in the structure of the composition. Can you expand a little on your cultural appreciation of graphene gained through your time working with the scientists in the NGI?
I've never stepped into a science lab or a professional environment like that at all. So, I mean, it was a huge privilege, and it was quite overwhelming at the start to walk into those worlds and kind of try and decipher what it was that I could take from that as inspiration that would make the musical piece. But I think for me, personally, in my composition, things they fall to melody, and it falls to harmony, and it falls to the emotions that conveys, which is what music does. So when you have an experience with people and you're kind of getting to know them, you're getting to know their motivations, things that inspire them, just the kind of like the spaces that they're working in, it starts to paint that picture, and it starts to kind of fill up the gaps within where a melody might lead and how it makes you feel and things. I think it's just the motivation really, and things like that was the main driving force that I've found as a similarity in these careers. It's a world that we don't get to see every day, and I found myself getting more and more frustrated about that actually whilst I was spending time there, because everything gets kind of filtered down to this convenience level, so it's, you know, fit for TV. And I think we lose all this fascinating, kind of exciting moments where people, you know, are going into that space every day to patiently go through a process, identify whether something's working, prove something, disprove something. And that is something that a musician is prepared to do with their instrument or with their composition. It's the same kind of acceptance really of how you're going to spend your time. It's going to be continually about learning, continually about experimentation. It's always going to be about starting and using your imagination and asking certain questions and finding out where you arrive as a result of asking those questions. And it just became more and more exciting the more time that I was able to spend there. And an absolute privilege for me to be able to kind of go into a space like that. I think I wanted the arrangement to sound quite traditional, because as I was walking around in the spaces, obviously there's this big mixture of old and new. So graphene's got this huge progressive potential. The university and the history of the city, it's a city that I live in, you know, and that I love very much. But just the kind of the architecture of the space and things like that. So I felt like I had to represent a kind of traditional sound within the arrangement, but I also wanted there to be a progressive strand as well within that and make those worlds mix.